Hi guys, welcome back to the lecture. So this lecture is, probably going to be not too long or going to be short. We want to look at if statements, when you have to make decisions in your program based on a certain thing happening, right? And then we're going to, shall I say, expand the if statement to include a while statement, because sometimes you want to run a loop, right, in your program. You want, for example, you have a quiz and you want the user to answer the question, and you have to prompt them, like continuously, please answer the question, answer the question, answer the question, before they can move ahead, or whatever the loop is that you need to, create, or situation you need to repeat, right, until something is done. So the if statement by itself, if else, it's if something happens or not, then do the other thing. Meanwhile, the while statement is a continuous loop that's going to require something to happen, or else it just continues going on endlessly, right? So give me a second here. Let me pull up my screen and we can do this. All right. So I'm going to create a. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to create a kind of a quiz. Now I might do some cut and paste because I already set up the quiz, right? But let's try to build it from scratch. And you can pause. Obviously, you can pause. You can pause the lecture while we are working, so you can see everything that we have to do here. All right. So we're going to create a quiz if, just to show you that this quiz is basically just the if statement that we're dealing with right now. All right. Let's see if we can get started here. Okay, so we go into the VI editor here. You press I to get started. And the first thing you want to do is put your hash spling. We call it, right? Hash spling. The first line. So let me get that out of the way. All right. Like I said, I have, the code. So I'm just going to do some copying and pasting. And that's just a welcome message that you see. The next line. So it says type your name. All right. So we prompt the user to type their name. You might have seen a version of this if statement. I'm not so sure, but let's work on this anyway. Maybe you learn a few more things. So we read, and that line, whatever the user types as their name before they take the quiz, then we read that as the quiz owner. Next thing we do is we create a text file, right? We create a text file for quiz owner. So basically, the name of the text file is the name that the user, typed in as their name, right? So, and then next we say, begin the quiz. All right, so, and then we put some pound symbols here just to end that block of code. All right, so let's save this and run it and see what we have so far. Always a good idea before you have, too much code and everything gets a bit overwhelming or confusing. You want to see what you have. So we have to, obviously, it's not going to allow us to run this file. Oh. Okay, so we have to grant permissions because we don't have permissions here. If you run this file the way it is, it's going to say denied. So change mode, U plus X to grant permissions to the file. and we should be able to run it now. Okay, so you see the first line there is just the intro line. Welcome to my quiz. Type your name. Let's just say, I don't know, MJ. Right. Begin your quiz, MJ. So that's how far we've gone in the code. So it says begin your quiz, and let's add some more info to the file. Type I to edit. Okay. So now we're going to create the first question. So the first question, we echo that out. Number one, the sky is just, keep the question short. So the sky is, so we say, so we have to give them options, right? One, green. Then we say, we use this kind of, it's an escape character, right? To, create lines. Basically, we're putting the questions on each line. So you will see, I mean, by now this should be familiar to you, right? And then black. So just a generic thing. The answer is obvious, but just keep it simple. And then we say, all right. So you notice, just to be clear, the quotation marks start here and end here. So it's all joined. Everything we have in there, number one, first question, and then we keep going, right? So let's see how this looks. Then we read the answer. Read answer, and then we're gonna put in the if statement. So again, let's save it and see what we have so far. All right. All right, so run the program, type your name, MQ. So begin your quiz MQ. So number one, the sky gives you the options, multiple choice, you enter the answer. If I say the answer is 2, well, we need to add more stuff to the file, right? To see what, how we deal with that, deal with the answers, right or wrong. Okay, so we come back here. So after we read the answer, now let's put the if statement here. All right, so you can just tab, I think the tab makes sense. Then you have the then. So if the answer is equal to 2, based on what the user enters as the answer, echo correct. And then all right. So we have the echo that's saying it's correct. And then question 1. So, well, you're going to see what we do with this question 1 now. Remember we created a text file up here, right? We created a text file. And then basically we're going to save the answers in the text file. So right here, so you can see right here. So if the answer is correct, then we create a variable here, basically equal to 1, and then we echo question 1. So we grab whatever, the correct answer, obviously the correct answer, all right? And we direct that into the file. So basically, if the user answers the correct question and the question is correct, we just assign the number 1, basically like giving 1 point. That's what it means. and then we store that 1 point. That's the number 1. We store it in the text file. So basically, every correct answer, 1 will be put in the text file. So if you, out of 10 questions, if you get 6 correct, then you will look, when you open the text file, you're going to see 6 1s, right? It's a way of storing information. So when you have to display the answer to the user, you just go to that file, you pull the answer, and you say, this is the answers you have. All right, so let's keep this going. All right, so this is all based on if the user gets everything, if the user gets the question right, then we do else. So else here is if the user doesn't get it correct, then we just say it's incorrect. So else here, this is when the question is not right. So up here, the question is right, you do this. It's not right. So there are only kind of 2 options. This is right, you do that. It's not right, you do the other thing, right? 2 options. 1 of 2 options, either or. So if works like an either or. All right. And then, so if the answer is incorrect, then we have to assign right here. Then we have to assign 0, right? So up here, if the answer is correct, we assign 1, and we drop the 1 in the file. If the answer is incorrect, we just assign 0. And we don't really necessarily need to drop that in the file, right? The file will just collect, the file will just be for where the answers are correct. Whereas when you get the answer right, you just put number 1 in the file. If it's 0, we just ignore that. But we have to still lay it out here because when the program runs through it, it wants to see that question 1 variable has a value, even if the answer is incorrect. If you leave it blank, you're going to get errors. Okay. And then we end the file and just keep some space with the FI because the if statement, when it begins and you go through all your different conditions, if, then, else, you end it with the FI. Okay. Let's see what we got right now. Okay. So let's run the file. But let me just clear this so everything looks kind of clean. Okay. So let's run the file. Okay, so type your name, TY, begin your quiz. So, so in the program, well, let's see what happens here. So the sky is, let's say we choose the wrong answer, we say 3, incorrect, try again. Okay, so what happens is the way we design the program with the if statement, if it's incorrect, well, the program ends, right? It ends. Let's run it again and see if we get the answer correct. So type your name, MT. So let's say we get the answer right. Put in 1. Oh, well, obviously the sky is not green, so the answer should be 2. Let's do that again. MK. So we'll say 2 as the correct answer. And it says correct. So the way the program is designed, if the answer is correct, it says correct, and then if there's a second question, it just moves you to the second question. But if it's wrong, it says incorrect, try again, but then the program just terminates. In an ideal world, that might be frustrating, right? Or that might not even make much sense. You either want to just move on to the next question, right or wrong, or you want to prompt the user and say, incorrect, try again. Try again. So you want the user to get the answer right, I mean, maybe quizzes are not designed that way in the real world. I mean, you have 10 questions, you hit the first one, you move on, hit the next one, move on, hit the next one. At the end, you see your total score. But with this quiz, we want you to get the answer right. So we're going to keep prompting you, try again. So you keep trying until you get it. Well, if all quizzes were like that, I'm sure you guys would, will be totally fine with that, right? But that's just how we're designing this quiz. So let's go and make some updates. All right, so let's update that here. We're just going to add more questions. That's all we're doing. We're just going to add more, just another question, so you see how it flows. I'm just going to paste. Okay. All right, so this second question, basically, again, I'm just going to copy and paste just for time. Echo here. All right, so read answer. Then again, we lay out our if statement. All right, so if the answer is equal to 1, now we know the answer in this case will be 1. Well, we didn't put our options there, so we missed that spot. So we got to go here, put the correct answer, answer options. All right. All right, so the answer options, and if the answer is 1, because in that situation, the answer is going to be 1, 4 plus 2. All right, so we go here. Okay, we say correct, and then we do the other things that we did. So now we assign question 2 again with another 1 point. Question 2 with 1 point. If the answer is correct, then we drop another 1 point in the text file. Let me run the text file now. You're going to see in a second, just to show you what it looks like. And then we have the else statement here. And then we finish the if statement. All right, so again, we'll say, incorrect, try again. All right. And then, well, here's one more question here. I'm just going to paste it down here for you, just to give you enough examples. All right, then we lay that, we paste the if statement. I'm just going to paste one big block here. And always pause the video to see all the details. Or to, just to be clear on how each line. Well, we've done many questions already, so it's just another question, that's all. And then for this question again, question 3, we assign another 1 point. All right, so this should be making sense to you now. And then we have the else statement. All right. So I'm going to add one more thing here, which is the total score, right? This code, I think we might have used this code before, but this should be helpful to you when you're trying to sum or total. All right, so paste that here. So basically what we're doing is the total, we're grabbing question 1 plus question 2 plus question 3. Remember, if the question is right, we assign 1 point. So you can see that we are reading from the variables. Right, if you go up here, if question 1 is equal to 1, we grab that 1. If it is equal to, so whatever question is right, it gets 1 point. Whatever question is right, if it's question 1, 2, or 3, we assign 1 point. And so the total here, this formula is important. You know, you can edit the formula going forward for other things, but the way it's set up here is important. All right, so question 1 plus question 2 plus question 3 will give us the answer. If any question is wrong, it's just, you know, equal to 0, and so it doesn't count. All right. And then here we say, so the last thing is, let me just paste that here. All right, so the last thing here is you scored, you know, the total points that you scored, that's here from the variable total. Here are your correct answers. And now all we do is we just cap the text file, right? So remember, the text file captures all the information. I mean, if I go here and I show you the text file so far, you can see, well, based on the name of the file, right? So you can see you have MK, MQ, MJ, MT. If I click on MT here, okay, well, the file is kind of actually empty. Isn't that interesting? Let's see this file, MQ. All right, so we didn't get any of the questions right there. Okay, well, so for the MK file, we got 1 question right. So you can see that question 1 was correct, or one of the questions was correct, question 1. And so that's what you output when you run the file. So let's run it and see what we get here. Okay, let's clear the screen again. So now we run the file. So type your name. I'm just going to say BJ. So begin your quiz. So let's say we get this question right. So sky is blue. We enter 2, correct, and it moves you on to the next question. Okay, our formatting is kind of off here. We need to, you know, move some spaces out away. Yeah, but let's go on. So enter answer. So let's say we get this wrong. So 4 plus 2, let's just say we enter 4. It says try again, but it allows you to move on. Okay, so that's actually okay. But again, remember what I said is in this design, we want to insist that the user get the answer right before moving on. But let's just move on. And then question 3, we're going to get the answer for this one right. So cars have 4 wheels. So answer is 3. This is correct. So when you look here, so let's see, here are your correct answers. Question 1, question 1. Well, we have the total, but we're not seeing the total here for some reason. So let's look at that. Even though the text file displayed it correctly, right? It displayed it correctly because we got 2 questions right, but then we should see that, well, so actually it's right. Everything is right. So you scored 2 points. So the total worked because it totaled the 2 points that we had correct. So 2 points. And then the text file is where we get this info from. Remember, we saved all the stuff in the text file. And if I was to go up there to look at the BJ quiz, you will see the BJ quiz. BJ is right here. And that's what we stored. So when you go back to the program, you see how we designed it. Question 1 and 3 were stored here because the answers were correct and 1 point was assigned. So text files are very beneficial for a lot of reasons. They help you to store information and then output that information later, right? So maybe you want to incorporate text files into your programs. Pretty useful for storing stuff and pulling it up again. You may not want to run everything in the command prompt or in the terminal all the time. You want to be able to save some information that you can always pull up later. So in this case, every time you start a quiz for the first time, it creates a new file. Now, some people might design the program to have everything in one text file and then for you to do a search through the text file and output just what you need. But here, I mean, text files are pretty small, so it's kind of easier to just, you know, you have a text file, different text files for different jobs. all right? And in the real world, I mean, this would all be stored in the background, right? So it's an easy setup. So that's how this program runs with the if statement. So let's make some corrections, or should I say, let's come up with a new program where it is set up to repeatedly ask the users for, well, let's fix this file, all the spaces, that's little spaces here. Let's just take care of that, and then we can be all set with this. So we're just going to go here and clean up a little bit. So question 2, where did we have that issue? Oh, I think here. All right. Oh, actually, I think it was here. Yeah, so we don't actually need the space that we have here, all right? Yeah, just like up here, that's what it is. So enter answer C. Yeah, right here. And then read answer can be indented or not. Yeah, so just to keep your spacing consistent. Yeah, that should be fine. Then you indent the if. All right, so let's pull this back. Here, 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 and even your echo statement, yeah, has to be brought back to the left side. Okay, so that's looks like we're good. And we can pull this back here too. And you might even want to create a space. So okay, so let's exit out of there, save. So clear the screen, running one more time. Enter your name, BG. So we get this question right. Answers 2 is correct. We get this answer wrong. Well, we'll still have, some small spacing issues, but you can always fix that. So enter the answer. We're just going to say 3, and we'll get this wrong too. Cars have 7 wheels. If we enter 4, and you can see that you obviously answered just one question, right? So you have 1 point. And then here your quiz correct quiz answers, and this was stored already in the text file.